Japanese delegate is not in the position to do that, not to make that decision. That's why he could be mistaken for not being smart. He could be mistaken for not showing his true intentions. Basically, he would have a very difficult time to persuade Europeans and Americans that he's a trustworthy person for those reasons. That is a very difficult situation for people in Japan.
When I attended the international meeting of ISO, I always feels like that. I also I'm not the position where I can say something without the allowance or toka approval from like a business headquarters.
Right.
So, but still, I have to say something. So it is somehow very, very tough situation. And always I feel like I have to do something, but I cannot say anything. But a few of the expert in ISO always outspeaks very aggressively. But sometimes such kind of the people are alienated, discriminated from their own belong to the company. So
what are we going to do?
That's a question.
What is difficult?
It's difficult to build up a trust relationship between those two. The cowboy who is a man by himself, who is enabled and empowered to make decisions on behalf of his organization, who doesn't need to go back. Basically, he can do it. He has the mandate to make decisions. Whereas Shonada-san, for example, if he needs to negotiate with this, he has a responsibility towards the people who endorsed him, who supported him to get into this position, to get their approval. That means that Shonada-san cannot wheel and deal and make concessions immediately. He always needs to turn back, and then the cowboy might think, "Oh, this guy is not a leader. This guy cannot make any decisions. He's useless."
Yeah.
So how are we going to break through that? What do we need to change in order to make this happen? To actually let Japanese people, give them the mandate and the freedom to wheel and deal and build up trust relationships with.
To realize such kind of a situation in all the Japanese company, there's one clear and simple answer. That is, there's no simple way to do that.
Okay.
Always, anyway, he will tell. But my opinion on is one of the reason is the executives of Japanese company never understand about the importance how to think about the things in longer terms or broad visions. But on the other hand, most of the executives see the situation in a very, very short term. Maybe because of the responsibility for the stockholders, or maybe always they asked the company's employees to show the result in 2 quarters
Q3.
or 1 year. But this is also, of course, important. But at the same time, executives always have to see the situation in a longer vision and a broad visions, and also think essential, not apparent. Only see the apparent situation, but always the executive have to think about the what is essential. What is essential?
But how do we see the essential things? That is through true leadership, American style. People who explain to shareholders, listen, we have a bigger goal here. We need to address fundamental issues. You need to educate your shareholders. If there's nobody who's telling them what to do, then the only thing they can go by is their objective and making their numbers and growing their shares 1%, 2%. instead of if there is anybody from the organizations going to stand up and tell the shareholders at the shareholder meeting, okay, this is our vision, this is our goal, this is a long-term perspective, we need to invest. That means that we will have a J-curve effect and we will need this investment. That means, but this is where we're going. Now, these kinds of leaders are not the leaders who have come into the permission of others. They are the leaders who have natural leadership, American style natural leadership skills, not by creating synergy, but by basically pointing into a direction and finding followers or people who believe them.
Yeah, when I use the word essential, I see the situation from the different aspect from you. You talk about to think about the essential things from the aspect of the leadership. But from me, based on my opinion, I see the situation from a different aspect. Yeah, of course, leadership is also necessary for the executive. But rather, I'd like to mention about the essential necessity of the essential thinking is I'd like to say here is in past we had several many the true leaders in Japanese history, especially maybe in the Meiji era. There are many wonderful people, and even the beginning of the Showa period. For example, the Honda Soichiro was one of the good example. I think he was the true leader, even from the aspect of the European people's view. But the one of the reasons why the modern Japan doesn't have such kind of people anymore, comparing with in past, it was because once again we have to go back to the issue of the education. So simply say we learned differently. The people in the Meiji era, what the people in the Meiji era learned is different from the things which we learned right now. So it sounds like very not straightforward the answers, but eventually we should think about that issues from the aspect of education. So that the solution is getting back what we learned in past.
Yeah, but Japanese lost a broader perspective and deep insight, and also need to consider benevolence, but also whenever you want to speak out, valor, you just speak out right opinion, sort of things disappear. What he said.
So the essential, what you're saying is essential is to change the education. That is the solution.
But it takes maybe half a century.
Right.
This is one issue, but just 20 minutes before you discuss about agriculture issues, like American offered open Japanese market. What is the obstacle is not Japanese government leadership. This is Japanese system. He needs to make consensus among JA, Japanese Agriculture Organization, system issues. Everything the same. Okay, America strongly ask for us to do something, but Japanese government need to change, need to make consensus among many organizations.
Exactly, but that's why. Okay, so that defines who is our leader and what do we entrust our leaders with. If we don't entrust our leaders to make any
this is system like before World War. Okay.
If we delegate our leaders to make a conclusion, then that should be implemented afterwards. But
in
that's
Japan,
based on
they cannot do that.
Exactly. So we don't delegate. We don't empower our leaders.
No. Before World War II, we had authorized delegate. Okay, representative from Japan, he can make a judgment, speak out the rest of the world.
Right.
But after World War II, there's that system gone. Okay, need to make consensus everything. Right. I don't know why. How come? Before World War II, they did right. They can do that. but
Right,
not
because
by-
they would make it happen after it has been agreed upon. I mean, but
Why
why,
this kind
do
of
we need to
system?
go back to every agricultural delegate and get their permission? That's nonsense.
Yeah, but this is system.
Right. Okay, but that's the problem.
Organizational system.
So
That is exactly the problem.
my question is how is going to change it?
Well, I think it starts with actually